Next week, we'll be discussing Clerks. Tom, how was your watch?
I saw Clerks actually in the 90s, which is the ideal decade to see Clerks. If you have to see Clerks in one decade, I would say see it in the 1990s. And I was in the eighth grade when I saw it, and I think I recommended it to you, Nick, if I remember
We watched it
correctly.
at your house, and that's going to be my first
Oh,
impression. So,
okay. I won't spoil that then. And I probably don't remember it as clearly as you. I will say in rewatch, whatever my first impression was, I think I loved it just because of the grittiness of it and the fact that as a New Jersey resident or a former New Jersey resident, one of ours had managed to, with almost nothing, make a movie that captured the attention of the country, as well as I think kind of a sort of zeitgeist at the time. In rewatching it, I was less impressed with it, obviously. However, I have to say the gumption to make the movie, as well as like the spirit of the time, right? There is this like really kind of grunge, post grunge 90s attitude that the movie really does capture well. Um, I recognize people in this movie from my own life. I have felt like I was in the state of Dante several times, unfortunately. And so I think that the joy of this movie isn't in the writing or the acting. The acting is actually pretty lousy, but in how much of this movie I was able to recognize in myself, as well as the kind of balls out, get it done attitude of Kevin Smith. How about you, Nick?
well, as I started to say, I vividly remember my first watch of this because you brought it to my attention. We definitely watched this on VHS at your house, and I was going to say it had to be middle school, so we were at the ideal time frame and very influential and feeling the angst of life as we are maturing. And this was the first film that I realized not everything is in like a movie theater and polished. I really didn't know much about independent films or anything like that. Now, I won't call this technically an artsy film, but it does have a different feel to it. And one of the things I also wanted to explore when we go over this next week, especially since our guests are not New Jersey natives, was this just a New Jersey thing? Like, did we? And then when I found out in life that it was more part of the zeitgeist, I was actually kind of surprised. I thought this was just like a little something we had, but it turned out to be so much bigger. My rewatch was interesting because I had no clue how I would feel about this film at this stage of my life. Many things have changed. And I don't think I necessarily connected as much as when I first watched it, but it was nice to go back down memory lane. And I'll save the rest for the episode.